Hello, I'm Clark Farley.
And I'm Denise Fasaro, and we are coming to you live from the Westerly, Rhode Island office of Randall Realtors.
That's right.
We'd like you to spend a little time with us while we share our insights and experiences, tips and tactics acquired over quite a few years. Our goal, help you become a better buyer and a skilled seller. This evening, what are we talking about, Clark?
Geez, we're talking about facts, FAQs, which is one of the cooler things to come out of the internet age.
FAQs,
Yes.
frequently asked questions.
Yes.
Correct. Yes, we are going to talk about that. But before we do, we would like you to know that we are live every Wednesday night at 5:30, except next week, on Facebook and YouTube. So catch us either place. If you're on YouTube, please subscribe. That helps us a lot. Also, feel free to put comments on either page, share us on either page, and check us out on Instagram. Clark does a Where in South County Are We twice a week on Instagram. So if you're from the area, check it out so you can play along.
That's a correct statement. And we'll be doing some questions that will involve comments, the opportunity for a comment. So you've got on your screen, wherever you are, a chance to do that. Also, you see that number. I mean, it's been going by since we started. Hey, if you feel like calling us in the middle of this thing, that might be kind of fun.
We shut our phones off.
Mine's vibrating right against me.
Okay. Well, if you want to call us in the middle of this thing, call Clark's number. He'll answer it.
I'll bet you somebody does. See, there's... That's us. Alex is here.
Right.
Hey, Alex.
All right.
Okay, so we should... Wait a minute. Don't I get to say my...
Yes, you get to say whatever you want to say, Clark. Anytime. Go.
Prompted by the constraints of social distancing. Actually, that was my more formal statements. We had a viewer just this week as a result of our commercial say something to the effect that, yeah, I saw you guys back in the winter and you were a little stiffer then. And I thought to myself, that's got to be Denise. And so the statement that I was about to read to you might have contributed to that impression being given.
Maybe.
But I still like it. But it's
or if they saw the commercial this week where you were giving the statistics.
Oh, I guess who's going to give them next week? But scroll down. Oh, no, the other way. Your other down. So we had this thing about, it was background on why we're doing this the way we are. And the thing that we always keep coming back to is that every week we address issues that are of interest to a buyer of real estate or to a seller of real estate, and, parentheses, please, sometimes both. So that's that's my introduction to this thing that we do.
So we've tried a couple of different things. We've had guests on. Hopefully we're going to have a guest next week. We think we might, but we're not going to talk about it until we know for sure.
Yeah.
And we have done question and answers. We've done some top 10 lists, and we've also talked on and on and on about real estate. So we would love to get some input from you guys and let us know what your questions are about real estate. But for tonight, we're going to answer some questions that we've been asked frequently by our clients.
And it's Denise's fault, just for the record, that the keyboard that I'm controlling is out of reach. So Martha Jean Farley McAdam, good evening also, because we'll be doing that. We'll be responding to your comments verbally out loud.
That's right.
That's good.
Because I moved the keyboard.
Yeah, really. That's just to keep us from looking away from the camera, right?
Right. So do we want to go through the first question, Clark? Let's get this party started.
Yes, I am a party animal. Let me get rid of this ticker and let's do this one.
Okay. Do I need a current pre-approval and you are not bothering your lender?
Yeah, and that's a setup, not that you could tell, it actually happened to me with a buyer client a couple of weeks ago. And we've been looking. She had made an offer maybe 3 months ago, had a pre-approval actually. Mm-hmm. And frequent viewers will notice that I said pre-approval instead of pre-qualification.
Check out our other shows so you know the difference.
I was going for that because in the library on the YouTube, there is a thing on pre-quals and buyer sides of things.
Mhm.
Anyway, she did that, and she had a lender do the full-on pre-approval. But three months or so goes by, and I said, well, she wanted to make an offer. I said, well, let's freshen the pre-qual. Let's update it. And she said, I could call so-and-so and ask him for a favor. And my head spun around a little bit. I was on the phone, so she didn't see the head spinning. And I said, well, no, don't feel that you're doing a favor. And if he isn't open to that, I've got people who will be happy to. This is a Sunday, too.
Mhm.
And I like to always make that point to buyers, because sometimes buyers, they're not to be blamed because they don't buy very frequently. So this is all new,
Mhm.
very often.
Yeah.
I said, no. And sometimes they're like, oh, I don't want to bother anybody on a Sunday or a Saturday. And it's like, dude, don't
They
worry
gave
about that.
you their cell number for a reason.
And it's a service business. That's my big
That's
thing
right.
about that. So I told her, don't worry about that. We can get you one for this particular purpose. And I think she got my point, which was he's in a service business. And if he isn't like, oh, my God, I'll get it right to you, you need somebody else
Right.
on
Right.
your team, your buyer's team.
And that leads into the next question or comment that we have. I've heard this one very often. I feel bad calling my agent. What did you do?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Tiny.
I know, it's really little. I feel bad calling my agent to arrange a showing, especially when I have to call after dinner because I'm at work all day. Do you think she gets upset or he? So I get this a lot where my clients say, I'm really sorry to call you tonight, or I'm really sorry to call you on a Sunday, or, this is our job. This is what we do. And you work in order to be able to pay for a house. So we need you to be working. And this is, we know what we're in for here. I had a few hours off this afternoon. I didn't have any job this morning, and I'm doing this tonight. So this afternoon, I snuck in a couple of hours at the beach. So we have our schedules. We can, if we need time off, if you call me and I can't talk to you, I'm probably not going to answer the phone if I'm busy or tied up or, have family around. And I'll let you leave a message. Or if you text me, I'll message you back and say, I'll text you later. So, don't be afraid to disturb your realtor. We don't sleep with the phone next to our head. So I think that for the most cases, you're not bothering them. This is what we do.
This is what we do for a living. And if there are any real estate agents out there watching, you all know that the fun you sometimes get if you've got a listing and somebody calls up a buyer, a civilian, and says, I didn't want to bother my agent.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And we laugh because we're the listing agent, so I'll show it to anybody. But I laugh with that sense of, oh man.
Well, sometimes they don't even say, they just tell you they want to see a house. And then if you don't think to ask them if they have an agent, you find out later they already have an agent and they didn't want to bother them.
Yeah.
If you have an agent that doesn't make you feel like it's okay to call, then.
Or if they give the impression that you're imposing on them.
Right. Even part-time agents who have to have, set hours and stuff. They'll take text and email. It doesn't, you're not bothering them. We're trying to buy a house.
And bottom line is, it is a service business, and there are, for a while there, with the market, there were more real estate agents than there were listings in Rhode Island, which is kind of funny.
Hey, if you've got to go to Walmart and pick up a gallon of milk at 6:00 at night, do you feel bad for the checkout person?
Yeah, you wouldn't call your agent for that, though.
No, I don't want you to call me to go buy milk. Okay. So the next question we have is, can I make a wire transfer to pay my deposit?
And actually this comes from another true experience. Last week I had a closing, and it was more a matter of, in that case, it was cash to closing. That's another show in the vault there of when we talk about closing costs, cash to closing. But it comes the week of the closing, the buyer's attorney will say, hey, I need X number of dollars. In the old days, it used to be a certified check. nowadays more and more there's wiring. And wiring is just, it sounds very simple, but there's so many checks because that's such an exposed area. So listen to your agent on that one, and make sure that you're dealing with people directly in terms of, in this case, he had his
lender,
bank.
a bank, lawyers, or at least that your agent has recommended and knows. But even then, everyone has to follow certain precautions because we are doing things digitally.
Yeah, basically it's the follow-up on the thing where if you were to wire me money, you wouldn't wire it. You'd call and say, hey, I need to wire it, because the instructions nowadays not only are sent to you if you're sending a wire, but good practice says that you verify that even on top of that, because you don't want to have your money go somewhere you didn't want it to go.
So our next question is, what am I supposed to do at a walkthrough?
Hold on a second.
I got that one quick before you put it up.
Yeah, make sure they didn't bust all the windows out. That's another third-party story, one of my favorites. Direct experience on walkthroughs. Walkthroughs for anybody new buyers and all. So everything's done. You got a closing date and a closing time. A walkthrough is when you go to the house to make sure it didn't burn down last night.
The day of the closing, typically. Sometimes they're done a day before, but typically it's right before the closing.
And that prompts my story, because they asked, hey, Clark, why don't we just do it the night before? I said, sure. And I said, or if you all the same to you, why don't we do it on the way to the closing? And the reason for that is simply that years ago, I had a property, it was a bank-owned property, that the buyer's agent did like 2 days ahead of time. It was an empty house, needed work, all those things. And she said, you've been there a lot. Do we really need to do a walkthrough? I said, I would. And sure enough, she got there like closing in the afternoon, and she went in the morning. All the plumbing was missing. The pipes, copper pipes.
Back when everybody was stealing copper pipes, yeah. I've also heard stories about, I've also heard stories about graffiti on walls and stuff like that, especially an empty house.
Yeah.
But even, depending on the time of year, a frozen pipe, or, you know what? They took the stove that was supposed to be left, and the stove is now gone.
And the thing is,
or the light or something.
Yeah, a good setup for our next question. The thing is that had they done that, they would have done their closing, given the money, and owned the property, and then gotten there and had no plumbing, and there would have been to the best of my understanding, no recourse whatsoever.
Right, that would have been their issue.
That would not have been a good thing.
No, that would have been their issue at that point, and now it was the seller's issue to take care of, and police reports and insurance and all that were still in the seller's name.
So most of what most agents will say to a buyer, let's do it on the way to the closing. A walkthrough is just that. You'll walk through every room, make sure the windows are still intact, and that kind of stuff.
Right.
Everything that you expect is not another inspection.
No, it's not another inspection. Typically, it takes like 10 or 15 minutes just to walk through on the way to the closing.
It's that.
Right. So where are you going?
So
Clark?
that, let's see. That
I need you to go back to the next question.
Uh-oh.
Because we're still on comments.
Okay.
And I don't recall the next question.
Oh, we could do the promised question. It sounds kind of biblical, doesn't it? The promised question. We had a promised question. Where'd it go?
That's it.
No. Oh, you didn't put it up.
I forgot.
Oh, no.
Are we talking about
the commercial and the cash,
yes.
the keys at the closing?
Keys at closing. I did forget to put it up. Sorry.
So we did a commercial, which everybody likes, on Monday. And we were talking, and Denise interjected something to the effect that keys aren't always handed over at the closing, or something to that effect.
Yes.
And she had mentioned that Connecticut, which has started to indicate that they're, as a practice, we're not attorneys or anything like that. We'll just say that a
lot of towns in Connecticut already did this. These are the ones that are in southeastern Connecticut that have now got together and decided that they're no longer handing out keys at closing if they don't have the funds at the closing. So in other words,
Oh,
the
okay.
funds have to be available to the seller there, or they don't give out the keys. So if it's a Friday and you've got a
Yeah.
mortgage and the mortgage company doesn't send the funds to the attorney until after the closing, then you don't get your keys. And if it's Friday, you probably aren't going to get your keys till Monday. And if Monday's a holiday, then you're probably not going to get your keys till Tuesday. So now we're advising people not to close on Friday, even though everybody says that's a great day to move because then I got the whole weekend to unpack.
Maybe you don't.
Maybe you don't because you may not have a house to go to. So don't check before you get to closing that you are in fact going to have the keys that day. And that's something you want to check way ahead of time. So you're not arranging for your moving van. You're not arranging, you have a place to sleep at night. And this is starting to become some common practice in Rhode Island as well for some attorneys.
And that got prompted by my own, which was a retail closing. And the attorney had mentioned, well, you know, I forget what she said, but it just if it came down to the practice of not handing over the keys until on record, which it means to record the deed in town hall. My own experience with that goes back a number of years because of the bank-owned properties that I work in. As a practice, they've done that for a number of years, and it isn't just bring the money to the closing for those guys. It's confirmation of wired funds. The seller, in my situations, the seller has to see the confirmation of the wired funds in their account and on record before I'm allowed to release the keys to the buyers.
I believe that's pretty much what it is in Connecticut now, all through Connecticut.
So
and some of the attorneys in Rhode Island.
And it's such a iconic part of a closing too, that here's the keys and don't you feel happy and you owe me for the rest of your life, kind of.
Well, again, let's go back to Walmart. You're not going to walk out with that milk if you haven't paid for it.
Yeah.
However, you can use your credit card, so you can put it on a credit, but you can't do that with a house.
Yeah,
the funds have to be available for a house.
So, and as Denise alluded to, on Fridays, and I've been, as a practice, would always tell an agent to let the attorneys know, in the case of the bank requiring that for the keys, et cetera, et cetera. So, more things change, the more they stay the same. Was that backwards?
I don't know. Do you want to bring the next banner up?
Do we have another banner?
We do. We have questions for the audience now.
Oh, okay.
So now we have answered some questions tonight. Now we have questions for you.
That's right.
So we would like you to post your answer in the comments, or
shout them out.
They can't shout them out. We can't hear them. Or you can text us or call us at some point. But tonight would be best. So our first question is what, Clark?
If you're watching this on YouTube
Clark,
later
I asked
this
you
week.
To put the question up.
Oh, I did.
No,
our questions for you. Do you want a bit?
Oh, I could. Oh,
for the record,
I can't read.
The question is there. It was there properly. My production cred stands.
All right. So our question to you is: do you want a big yard? And if not, why? Anybody got an answer? What are some of the things you've heard about yards? Why do we have that question?
I remember years ago talking to a builder I worked for, and he was saying, "Hey, Clark, in different parts of the country, very much different. It's especially South County, aka Washington County, the larger half-acre lots tends to be the standard, sort of like basements. You know, you've got other parts of the country.
They don't have basements, but there's people around here that are like, I could never not have
live
a basement.
On a slab. Yeah.
So we are kind of running out of time, though. So if you don't have an answer for that one, how about the next one?
Oh, she's trying to recover because she got the last one wrong. Hold on. Excluding this one.
This one is excluding bedrooms and baths, number of bedrooms and baths. What is the single most important thing you want in a home? Anybody got anything?
Yeah,
I think you have to go back to the comments, Clark, though. To see
do. And Denise,
there you go.
Phyllis and
so I guess we don't have an answer
to that. Give it a chance. Now, if you're watching this later in the week, in the future,
right? You can still answer us.
You could can they comment?
They can comment on Facebook and you can comment on YouTube. Give us your answer to those two questions.
And we'll even post it with as much information as you're willing to.
You don't have. We don't
divulge.
have to post your name if you don't want, but we'll post what you said. Single most thing you'd want in a home,
Non-bedroom baths,
not
square
counting
foot.
bedrooms and baths, and also, do you want a big yard or a small yard, and why?
Okay.
All right. So next week we are not going to be here on Wednesday at 5:30. We are going to be here on Tuesday at 5:30.
Tuesday, right?
Yes, correct. Tuesday at 5:30 next week, and we hope to have a special guest. We have not got a confirmation on that yet, but I think we're going to make it happen. If not, we will have an interesting subject because we always do. So check us out on Facebook, check us out on YouTube. Please subscribe and comment, answer our questions, and come see us next Monday in our commercial, which we don't ever do that at the same time every day, but check it out because it is live. And also next Tuesday at 5:30. See you then.
Comment. Hold on. We got a comment.
Kitchen.
Phyllis
well,
says
I hope it has a kitchen, Phyllis. Could you be a little more specific?
I will have to recuse myself from commenting on her point, but the style of kitchen I would take that to mean, and that's interesting because in the trade magazines, kitchens and baths,
most important thing,
way up there.
Way up there.
Thank you, by the way,
thank you for answering, Phyllis,
for answering and proving that we have live audience, like they used to say in 1970s.
Yeah.
Okay, so you say goodbye? Or?
I think we're time to say goodbye. Good night.
Okay, thanks for watching. See you next week.